أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the sixth review session of the Al-Maghrib course Torchbearers. This course was taught by Sheikh Walid Basuni, and this review session is brought to you by Qabilat Bushra. This review session is basically going to be about Zumurrud Jawlee, which is our first female scholar that we discussed in this course. She was also known as Safwatul Mulk, which is the cream of royalty. She was born in Asham and lived to be almost 90 years old. We learned about her that she was called Safwatul Mulk, cream of royalty, because not only was she a queen herself, but she was also related to 30 kings. She had 30 kings related to her. As an early life, basically what happened was she was the daughter of the king of Damascus, and so she had a royal upbringing, and her father ensured that she had access to a lot of knowledge. She became a hafda during her childhood, and she was surrounded by scholars, and she started studying the Hanafi fiqh. So essentially she was raised in a very pure Hanafi surrounding. Through this, by learning about fiqh and everything, she herself became a very well-known scholar, and she got her ijaza from learning with different scholars. She married King Bori. Something that we know about her appearance is that we know that people commented about her intelligence and her beauty, but of course in those days it's possible that men did not see her, so we cannot exactly tell what she looked like, but there were other people who were commenting about how intelligent and how beautiful she was. So that leads us to assume that she was, we do know that she was intelligent, but that she was beautiful as well. Some of the factors that shaped her life: well, she married King Bori, who was one of the greatest kings of his time. And what's interesting about this king was that he divided up the responsibilities of the kingdom between himself and his wife. So while he was building armies and meeting delegates and basically building allies, he allowed his wife to take care of the affairs, internal affairs of the country. And what she did was she supported education a lot, and she took care of all these internal affairs to the extent that she was very, very beloved by her community. We also know that after the death of her husband, she had a relatively traumatic time when her eldest son was killed by the second son, Ismail, who basically starved her elder son Muhammad and killed him. And Ismail became the king, and during this period Ismail conspired against Zumurrud, his mother, and eventually Zumurrud had to take matters into her own hand, and she had Ismail killed in front of her. Then she brought his body out in the morning, and she threw it in front of the people and accepted the fact that she had killed the king. What this basically tells us that she was very, very strong on justice. She was very firm on what was the right thing to do, and she, with her intelligence, she basically changed the country by 180 degrees, and she led the country towards a lot of good things. She built probably one of the biggest schools, and she made sure that she abolished taxes, and so there was a lot of social work, social issues that she was dealing with during her rule. Eventually, due to, and again the details of this is in the notes, but she eventually married Zinki, and the idea of that marriage was that it would benefit her people, but essentially this was a conspiracy by the people, or by some of her people, and so she was locked out of Damascus when she went to see Zinki, and eventually Zinki also betrayed her. She did go to a Khalifa in Baghdad to bring her case to him, and then but she couldn't see him either. Eventually she gave up all royalty and went to live in Mecca to spend the rest of her life. She did lose all her money. Eventually she ran out of the money and everything, and so she started working, cooking and sewing to support herself. Now, again, this was a very interesting and very inspiring story about a queen who had grown up in royalty, and now she was cooking and sewing to support herself in old age. She was relatively old at that time. Towards her death, as she got closer to her death, as she knew that she was going to get sick and be close to passing away, she moved to Medina, because she remembered the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said that whoever dies in Medina, he sallallahu alaihi wasallam would intercede for that person. So she moved closer to Medina, and very soon after she died in Medina. And it was after her death that people who lived around her found out that she was the Queen of Damascus. So people did not know that about her. We know that she was a very noble and righteous queen, and she never compromised on the truth. Those are some of the lessons we learned from Zumurrud's life, and again, more about this is in the notes. More details are in the notes. Please look through the notes before you take the exam, which is once again on March 12th from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. It will be available on almaghrib.org. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.